So you're an editor and you want to make good edits, but every time you start a new project, you lose motivation because the project takes too long or you simply think it's not good enough. Well, what if I told you it doesn't have to be like this? Because in this video I want to give you some advice on how you can improve your workflow and get more enjoyment out of editing. My first piece of advice is don't overscope. From my experience, this is one of the easiest pitfalls to fall into. You might get an idea for a super cool 2-minute long edit that's cinematic and has a lot of effects, but while you might be motivated at the start, when you start editing, you realize how much work it actually is. Instead of jumping straight into these big projects, focus on making a lot of small ones first. If you can't consistently finish these small edits, the big projects are just going to be too overwhelming. It doesn't matter if they suck, just make them. I've made hundreds of edits and some of them were good, but most of them were bad. And that's okay. I still learned from those projects, maybe consciously or subconsciously. If I didn't make those bad edits back then, I would not be able to make the good edits I make today. So once you get comfortable with creating these smaller edits, you can gradually work towards creating bigger projects. Which brings me to my next point. Challenge yourself. You only really improve when you step outside of your comfort zone and try things you haven't done before. If you keep doing the same type of edit over and over, you'll probably stay at the same skill level. With every edit, try to do something new. Whether it's an effect or transition doesn't really matter. It's about expanding your skill set. And you might not be able to perfectly execute it the way you want, but that's fine. My goal is not to be perfect, but to learn something from the experience so you can apply it in future edits. For example, I made this one edit just because I wanted to do this scene with the Pinterest interface falling apart. I was inspired by one of Vin's edits and wanted to expand on the concept. So what I did was focus most of my efforts on creating that one sequence and kept the rest of the edit simple. And by doing this, I learned how to create these bouncy animations, which I've also incorporated in some of my other edits. Another thing you could look out for are HCs, with HC standing for hour, competition or challenge. For example, a free HC is an editing competition where everyone gets 3 hours to create an edit with the song or clips that have been provided. These competitions can help you because they force you to finish an edit in a short time frame without thinking too much. Competitions like these are usually hosted in Discord servers and communities. But challenging yourself only really works if you know what you should be challenging. Find your weaknesses. Take a critical look at your recent edits. And I mean really look at them. Not just watch them once and move on. Ask yourself what feels off. Maybe the pacing is weird, maybe the clip selection feels random, maybe it's the color grading that's not consistent, or maybe the edit just doesn't feel as emotional as you wanted it to. Try to figure out why that is. Think about what you could have done better or differently if you were to remake it. Once you've identified those weak points, you actually know what to work on for your next edit. And focus on one thing at a time. If you try to improve the pacing, transitions, your sound design, color grading and movement all in one edit, you'll just get overwhelmed and you won't really improve at any one of them. Instead, pick one thing. Maybe for your next edit, you only focus on the pacing. The next edit is about improving your sound design. If you do it like this, every project has a clear goal and you will notice yourself actually improving. Ask for feedback. Sometimes you've looked at your edit for so long that you become blind to what even needs improvement. That's when you should ask someone with a fresh perspective to have a look at your edit. They're seeing it for the first time and they can point out things that you might have missed. But you shouldn't ask any other person, which gets me to my next point. Meet other editors. Find a community where you feel comfortable sharing your work and asking for feedback. Other editors know what it's like. They can give you the feedback that actually helps you. Besides, finding a community is not only good for receiving feedback, because when you surround yourself with other editors, you will notice how they think and approach their projects. You might even pick up some habits without really trying. Speaking of communities, I own a Discord server where you can ask for feedback. Feel free to join if you're interested. To wrap the video up, to improve as an editor and create better edits, you should create small projects that are focused on building 1 or 2 skills at a time. Challenge yourself just enough to learn something new and take the time to reflect a bit on your work instead of immediately moving on to the next edit. So if editing has been feeling frustrating or overwhelming lately, it probably means that you're trying to do too much at once. Just keep it simple, make some edits and focus on enjoying the process. Okay, and that's all. Bye.